This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Now, Pete, other than the final quarter at Chicago, the Bengals game, and the Addison Drive in London, why is consistency and fluidity so hard for the Minnesota Vikings offense to attain this year? And good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I mean that's a $1 million question. I mean, part of it is maybe it's the 14th. Is it the 14th iteration of the offensive line that we've gone through?
15th right? yesterday.
I mean, 15th. Yeah, I mean, Addison was in. Addison was out. We've had a lot of flux, a lot of changes offensively. You can make, I don't know if you want to make excuses or what, but man, the timing of a lot of these mistakes have been killers too. And a lot of them have occurred in the red zone, over the last, so far this season. Exactly why that is, I don't know. I think you have to be closer to the team and be part of it to know exactly why those things are. But, the turnovers have been big too. Fumbling seemed to be the problem. Yesterday, obviously it was, 2 interceptions, but being -6, Paul, like you brought that up a number of times during the broadcast yesterday. Those are, you're high on the penalty side as far as total penalties, at least going into the game. You're in the minus column overall at -6. You look at where those interception and turnover numbers were a year ago compared to this year. That explains quite a bit. I mean, we're seeing it play by play, but when you take a step back and you look at those things, those numbers are telling part of the story as well. So until we stop being our own worst enemy, these games are going to be close. And these games are going to maybe, not go our way or go our way only half the time.
Isaiah Rodgers, they attacked their former teammate yesterday, and some can say put him on a bad game. Some can say put him on a mediocre game. Doesn't matter to me. Nevertheless, the team as a whole did not win. But nevertheless, why did that happen? They went at their former teammate, and they were right.
Yeah, the Devontae Smith touchdown, Paul, I got to see that. I got to go in and see it again as much as it's going to pain me to see it. But again, it was I don't know what the idea was coverage wise and whether or not Theo Jackson should have been involved at all. Cause it appeared that Isaiah Rodgers had no help, zero. Right, he didn't have any help toward the middle of the field because the ball was was thrown more toward the middle of the field, where normally you would have a free safety or somebody else there to help with that, and he looked like he was on an island, and it didn't appear to be a zero blitz either. Although we did have six guys at the line of scrimmage, so I don't know what happened there, but looking at it, something wasn't right. Now,
I'm looking at it now. They rushed 5. Harrison, Hitman threatened an A-gap blitz. Then he backed off. So now, about 35 yards from the line of scrimmage, Hurts, per usual, bouncing around with nobody close to him. That factors into it, too. He sees Smith and Devontae, man, I mean, when you watch this, you just got to tip your cap to him. He darted to the left, all right, which would be by the bench, and then went right back to the right. He got Rodgers to turn the wrong way and then just put that 4-4 in play, and the game was over.
Yeah, put the double move on him, and that's the same thing that A.J. Brown did on that, on the third down play right at the end of the game. That was we're going to get a zero blitz here. Jalen Hurts was never going to set his feet. He was just going to backpedal and throw a fade. He was going to put a double move on him. We were trying to prevent them from getting the first down. So, when you zero blitz, you can't give up a first down. You're going to be jumping the slant, right?
Yep.
And they ran a slant and go. And think about that play, Paul. They threw a play a play or two before and stopped the clock. And you're thinking, my God, are they going to throw the ball again? And if it's incomplete, they stop the clock again, and we don't have to use a timeout. I mean, that's a gutsy call, and they did it, and they executed it. So, that's hat tip to them, I guess, in that regard. Because so to say that they systemically went after Isaiah Rodgers, I don't necessarily. I don't agree. I mean, they only, how many times did they throw the football?
Right,
13 times.
Maybe 16.
They didn't even throw the ball that much.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily think that, that's necessarily the case.
Well,
18 completions.
You got me down the rabbit hole on this play. All right. This Devontae Smith double move at the 40. All right. Now that's, okay, Isaiah, if the technique is 10 of 10, and I ain't trying to be George O'Leary here and, pretend like I know technique inside and out. I just know I haven't seen Isaiah Rodgers do this at any point this year. And Devontae Smith kind of handled him on this double move at the 40, and there he goes for 79. Theo Jackson is middle of the field between the hash marks. He's right behind A.J. Brown, and he's in a perfect spot because there are two guys in front of A.J. between the hash marks. Jalen's going to see that. He's like, I ain't taking that cheese. It might get picked off. And Theo had the angel on the shoulder over the top coverage on AJ
right.
Middle of the field, and then he went busting tail to help on Devontae, but it was too late. So yeah, I see what you saw there.
And again, it's a five. You have 5 men. If you have a 5-man rush, you're going to be short a guy in the back end, right? You're going to be short somebody back in the back end. So if you're losing somebody in coverage, the rush needs to get there, and it didn't. So. That's kind of like, there's a number of different things that happened on that play. It's not just one guy. It's not just one thing. It's a number of different things.
Speaking of a number of different things, a lot of things factor into creating turnovers, right? Vikings tied atop the NFL a year ago. They were really, really good at it. Or were they just opportunistic? Because I don't know what you've been seeing, Pete. They get one apiece in the Bears and Falcons game. Then it's a buffet against the Bengals, 5 takes in the historically unbelievable game by Isaiah Rodgers. What is your level of concern with the fact that the defense has created 0 turnovers in 3 consecutive games?
It's the weirdest thing, right? That it kind of comes in waves. It comes in waves like that. And as far as the forced fumbles go, point of emphasis, getting more than one guy to the football. We had some, we play Cleveland, you have some big runs, and when you're chasing guys down from behind and doing that, you're not thinking about punching the football out and doing those things, right? You're just worried about getting the guy on the ground when you're getting worn out on the ground. The interceptions, hips and overthrows, and the overall, Jalen Hurts was sacked 3 times yesterday, I believe.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't recall him being under pressure quite a bit. Those are the hits, right? Those are the hurries. And when those things happen, that's when you start getting the overthrows. That's when you start getting tips and guys trying to force the football in. They just didn't get Jalen under any type of duress, pressure. And he had time. He had time to tell A.J. Brown to turn that flat route into a go route when Josh Metellus was on him, right? It was like a 7-on-7 drill at times. And when quarterbacks are that comfortable and receivers are that comfortable, then you're not going to get those turnovers. So to get back on that turnover train, you're going to need to get after the quarterback more. We've been blitzing. We still blitz as much, if not more, than anybody in the league, but we're blitzing less. We're below 40%. We're down to third. We were going into this game. We were at 37.7%, which is probably 4 or 5 or 6% less than what we've been doing kind of historically. So, getting away from that, that's the one change on defense I think we might see by Thursday. It's going to be hard to do, putting in a bunch of different plays in a short week. but we definitely have to get after Herbert. We definitely have to get on, because he's another guy that doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, but because they were behind in the score, because yesterday they were forced to throw the football 40-some or 50 times, you have to make something happen. That's how Indy got hit. You know, he only threw 2 interceptions all season last year, and he threw, I think, 3 yesterday. So, he threw 3 in a playoff game as well. So you have to get pressure on that guy. You got to get him off of his spot. You got to get him to move. He's just so good with the short passing game. So the answer to that, Nordo, I think is we need to start getting, we need to get back Ginkle back, and we need to start getting pressure on the quarterback. Get him, and again, the sacks are important, but that number doesn't tell you all the story. It's about what you see, and if the quarterback is just trying to make something happen, is he under duress? I don't think Jalen Hurts was that uncomfortable in the pocket yesterday.
Couple of things here.
The analyst.
Glad Nordo brought it up. The Vikings are now -4 in the ever-important take-give. -4, which is 1 behind the juggernaut known as the Tennessee Titans.
L.
At -3. And 1 clear of the juggernaut known as the Las Vegas Raiders.
L.
At -5. Now, so they were -2 yesterday in the take-give and allowed a pick 6. You're a 3% winner in NFL games when that happens. You go -2 and you allow a pick 6 or a return touchdown, punt, kick, or pick 6, or fumble recovery, and you're a 3% winner. It's just not what we're used to around here, right?
No, absolutely right. And that play that Jalix Hunt made, that was a damn good defensive play. I mean, with the way the play was set up with the tight end, we had Hockenson, I believe, out wide, and JJ was in the slot. You do that to see if you got man or zone. The corners were walked out. We had receivers in the slot. The ball was going to go somewhere in the middle of the field, and then they wanted to show a blitz, and it's the same thing we do with Andrew Van Ginkel. They just dropped Jalix Hunt off, and Carson Wentz saw the pressure and wanted to get rid of that football quickly. He's trying to get it to Jefferson in between the safety and one of the linebackers, and Jalix Hunt just put himself exactly in that alley and stepped up, made a play. And I mean, we've seen it a bunch of times, through Andrew Van Ginkel. So that was a damn good defensive play. Thinking about it, Carson Wentz was under duress at times yesterday, was he not? He was running for his life. He didn't extend plays. Maybe a couple of throw to Hockenson that was a touchdown, not a touchdown, or whatever. That was him extending a play and not necessarily being imminent that he's going to get destroyed. But that was just a damn good play by a Philly defense.
How difficult is it? Because the way that I'm seeing it, PA hit me with a stat early, and I hadn't looked at the snap counts, Pete, that Javon Hargrave only played 18 snaps yesterday. So a guy that I did see making plays at various points throughout the game, Jalen Redmond, and kind of an A topic into the game, stopping Saquon Barkley. Win, lose, draw this thing, Saquon ain't going to get loose. And how tough is that balance where I want to shut down what Saquon's able to do, but also some of those coverage things and such that you were talking about in terms of limiting Jalen Hurts? Do they have to be mutually exclusive, or is this part of a package that just kind of went the wrong way?
It can be very difficult to do, and that's kind of the dilemma that the Philly offense puts you in, right? They have a good 3 wide receiver offense, which makes you want to play nickel, and then they want to run the ball with Saquon Barkley because if you watch them against the Giants, they were a 3 wide offense, I believe, like 80% of the time. I mean, they went 3 wide receivers a lot. Now, what's interesting is now in the last 3 weeks, we have seen substituted offensive linemen for tight ends, right? Pittsburgh did it. Cleveland did it. That's the AFC North. They do that over there. Then Philly all of a sudden comes in and says, what we're going to do? We're missing some tight ends. I believe Grant, I don't know if Granson even played. they're like, okay, we're going to throw an extra offensive lineman in. We're going to, we're going to bring in Fred Johnson, throw him at tight end, and then throw the ball deep on you. We're going to, and so it seems to me that that's the direction. Instead of spreading this defense out, they're adding bodies to it and trying to get the fronts and the adjustments and different things. So my point, when the Vikings defense is seeing bigger offensive linemen, they're adding bigger bodies on the field. And teams are using that now to throw the football. At least Philly did. Philly did that a couple of times. So it's always an ebb and flow, and it's not easy to do. We played more 4-man front yesterday than I'd seen in quite some time, because I think we were expecting that 3-wide offense, and we didn't quite get it. So there were some adjustments, I think, to that from a personnel and scheme standpoint. But the productivity up front is, we need more of it, and it's not easy to do. I don't know what else to say on that. I mean, Ivan Pace not being out there was a big story. Don't know what's going on with that. But getting Cashman and having Eric Wilson, Eric Wilson had sack and a half yesterday. So, looks like we got a little bit of a change there at the linebacker position, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, has the magic dust switching over to the offensive side of the ball? Has the magic worn off on Brandel? Such a great performance in London, and then I know bad beat on the holding penalty, but whether it was the crazy snap, and he was absolutely, and Jalen Carter is a high-end player, I know that. But
yes,
Jalen, I mean, you want to talk about turnstile on that pick 6 play. Just what did you see? Maybe we can extend this from Brandel to just in general what you saw from that 15th incarnation of the Minnesota Vikings offensive line yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Brandel, it's his second game at the position. Whether or not, somebody else that they can throw in there is going to do better. That's, I'm sure, what they're going to evaluate in this short week. That's why it's tough. But yeah, he has to play better. No question about it. Only his second game there. The mistakes that were made, this is the issue when you play a team like Philadelphia, is again, other teams that you play, you might be able to make a mistake or two and then be able to overcome them. But when you're playing Philadelphia, or the Super Bowl champs, you're just not going to be able to do that. And those mistakes were costly, man. That snap over the head in the red zone, that one to me, that one bothers me kind of the most, because there are a lot of people on this planet that play offensive line that said that Jalen Carter beat him one-on-one on a pass rush. I mean, that happens. Jalen Carter is very, very good. But snapping the ball over the quarterback's head when he's 6'4", 6'5", we can't, those are the things that we just can't do.
Pete Bercich, Sioux Cup Manufacturing and SiouxCup.com. Thank you very much, Sioux Cup. Just a couple more before we close here, Pete, but back to just to dovetail off Nordo's question about Javon Hargrave. He played 18 plays yesterday. He only played 18 plays. That's fewer than Levi Drake Rodriguez. Okay, Jalen Redmond has been the best defensive lineman the team's had all season. Okay, so he played fewer than Redmond. All right, but 18 plays. Why? Why do you think?
I don't know. Again, I see that's why I'm kind of going back to, did we get what we expected out of Philadelphia? Again, we had multiple tight ends. We had 12 personnel more than we'd ever seen, the extra offensive linemen. So whether or not that meant a different defensive line, that was going to be their adjustment. So by my point being, I don't know. This is a question I would want to ask. Is that by design, or is that by what Philly was able? Because offenses will do that. They'll put certain personnel groups on the field because they know certain defensive players will be on the field. So was that one of the reasons why Hargrave didn't play that much? Because in a 3-wide offense, Hargrave was going to be in the entire game, and then they decided to go to a heavier personnel group, and that meant Hargrave came off, and let's say Drake Rodriguez went in, or somebody else up front. So, or Jalen Redmond. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he needs to be on the field a lot more.
I don't like it.
All those guys in the middle, Paul. I mean, Jalen Redmond is showing a lot of more of what we saw out of the three guys that we had up front with Tillery and Harrison Phillips and Bullard, right? Remember the movement we would see out of them and the stunts and the different things at TFLs every once in a while. That group up front needs to get together and kind of get back to that. And whatever that is, whether it's fundamental technique, alignment, I don't know what it is that group needs, but they need to solidify those things inside.
All right, we're in a hurry.
Time for two more.
Let me ask you this. I've been pretty hard, whether it was Fan Line yesterday, I've been pretty hard on Carson Wentz and his accuracy and his decision-making yesterday. And I'm just curious, from what you saw, Pete, is there an element of this where we can say, man, he's playing hurt and that's impacting things? Or did we see a significant regression and just a hideous game from the veteran?
Yeah, well, you might have saw a little bit of everything, Nordo. That's the problem, right? I mean, you don't know how banged up he really is, because we just don't know, and we'll never know. But there's no question, to your point, and when you watch the game, you get a feeling for it, right? You get a feeling for when the quarterback is at the top of his drop, going through his progression, maybe has to get off his spot, but then knows where to go with it. And we didn't see that as much. You saw some off-scheduled throws, sidearm throws, not moving his feet type throws, and then on top of that, you start seeing some subtle inaccuracies on out routes. A lot of the out routes, like to Jordan Addison, were fantastic toward the end of the game, but there were times there where there were some throws that should have been completed that weren't. So yeah, that's starting to creep in. And what exactly that is, I don't know, but it is a regression. It is definitely. He looked much less comfortable in the pocket than he did 2 weeks ago. So that's trending in that way. The Chargers are going to see it, what they're going to want to do about it, or how they're going to keep. I mean, the bottom line is this: is you want to get pressure on Wentz, right? That's what you want to do. It's the same thing like with Kirk Cousins. If you just let Kirk Cousins sit in the pocket, he's going to put up 300 on you. He has that ability. But when you get him off his spot and get pressure on him, then good things start to happen for the defense, and that seems to be the trend right now. So whether that's the injury, whatever that's fundamental, who knows what that is. Maybe he's worried about the ball being snapped over his head. Who knows? There's something going on there that's making him look less comfortable, less in charge of the system per se, and what that is needs to be fixed. Needs to be, that whole position needs to calm down. We've got so much. Every time we snap the ball and drop back pass, it's like it's drama, and it's we need to get away from that and get more into the machine side of the passing game and the offense.
Let's close with amazement. I mean, this is I think it's amazing. How about this? If into the game I told you the Minnesota Vikings would kill the Philadelphia Eagles on third down, they would have more rushing yards, they would have 5 fewer penalties, and would win the time of possession by almost 10 minutes, and Saquon Barkley would average 2.4 yards per carry with a long of 9, you probably would think the Minnesota Vikings won by multiple scores, right? But turnovers, man. That's kind of been a common thread with this conversation. I will
100%.
I'll see you Wednesday. Thank you very much for the great job yesterday and today. I appreciate you. See you. Pete Bercich, analyst for the Vikings Radio Network, courtesy of Sukup and Sukup.com. Cash thing right now, PJ Fleck, 15 minutes from now.
Fan along with 2 men in a junk truck want to give you a chance to win some bonus bucks, national cash contest style. The keyword is deposit. You might be able to make a deposit if you enter the keyword deposit at KFAN.com.
All right, we pick up the pieces 9 to noon, awaiting the arrival of PJ Fleck within the next 10, 13, 14 minutes. Welcome back to 9 to noon. Looking forward to chatting with the head coach of the Golden Gophers football program off that lively, energetic, and dominating victory over a ranked team. Kind of a helmet school, too. Nebraska hasn't been high end of late, but Nebraska Cornhuskers football is that of immortality, and they didn't score a touchdown. They absolutely got dusted.
Well, and it was kind of fun too, whether it was with Bernsey, Bow Hunter during the week, and then getting the chance to chat with Jeremiah Searles on a couple of different levels, not just the Purple and the Minnesota Moving Company, but also just Dylan Raiola, and highly touted. And Nebraska's on something. You've mentioned it, kind of third year for Matt Rule, starting to turn some corners there. And what this defense was able to do against Raiola and those guys the other night, nothing short of impressive. I think with PJ, kind of the last few weeks, and you've probably noticed this trend too, you love the evolution of Drake Lindsey, but you're kind of going like, hey, that run game. Remember, like the kind of like what the coach likes to do, identities of teams. And while the Vikings are still trying to find it, the Gophers have really established over a long time now. PJ wants to own the clock. PJ wants to run the ball and haven't been able to do it, like 30 yards in a game, 45, 50 yards here. It's like, what the heck's going on? And you need Drake Lindsey to handle business. You sack Raiola like 9 freaking times on Saturday night. And Darius Taylor, oh my goodness, get into the end zone, my man. But that 71, he's out at the 1. Just the ability to start running the ball. I'm anticipating a little extra skip in the step of the old ball coach this morning.
To the pros, before we talk to PJ, just to dovetail or extend that last piece of what I feel is amazement I laid out for the analyst. Honestly, if into the game I told you the Vikings would kill the Eagles on third down, they would have more rushing yards, 5 fewer penalties, would win the time of possession by almost 10 minutes, and Barkley would average 2.4 yards per carry with a long of 9, you probably would think the Vikings would win in a walk, right? But when you're -2 in the take give and you give up a return touchdown, punt, kick, fumble recovery, or Jalix Hunt, and the pick L yesterday, you're a 3% winner. So you can kill teams on third down. You can chew the clock +10. You can outrun them. You can have fewer penalties. But if you're minus in that take give and you give up a return touchdown, you are a 3% winner. So some more negative detail of amazement, at least for yours truly, from yesterday. Jalen Hurts, fine quarterback, Super Bowl 59 MVP. He had 3 touchdowns yesterday. Jalen Hurts had 3 touchdowns and 4 incomplete passes.
Stop him!
I mean, almost as many touchdowns as incomplete passes. You kidding me?
Oh.
Jalen Hurts, that was Jalen Hurts' first game with 300 or more passing yards since week 3 of last year.
Stop him!
The Minnesota Vikings snapped Saquon Barkley's 25-game streak with at least 50 scrimmage yards. He had 42, still lost.
Stop him!
Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, all right? A deep pass per next-gen stats, I believe, is constituted at 20 yards. Okay, 20 yards or more. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown this season on passes 20 yards or more, 2 of 8, 68 yards, 0 touchdowns. Yesterday, 3 of 3, 108, and 2 touchdowns.
Stop him!
And the Philadelphia Eagles, this is crazy. The Philadelphia Eagles have gone 24 consecutive games without an interception from a cornerback. I mean, the Beef Eaters, whether it's Carter or Davis or Hunt or Bond, their non-corners are picking off passes.
Yeah.
They went 24 in a row. They've gone 24 in a row without an interception from a cornerback. And that's that of amazement.
You know what's crazy is sometimes stats mean a ton, and you pointed it out, but to that end, 3 of 10 on third down, their 3 third downs that they completed was to Devontae Smith for 28 yards. That was the illegal contact that was declined on a 3rd and 15. A 3rd and 13 late. Remember when Hurts bent over as if he was anticipating a sack, found his way to the right answer, gets A.J. Brown for 13. And then 3rd and 9 was the 45-yard dagger pass to A.J. Brown late in the game where they were able to effectively kneel it out from there. And, from Alec Lewis on Friday, like, hey, you give me a look at what the 3rd and long situations looked like for respective teams, and that'll kind of tell you, well, 3 of 3 on their 3rd and longs in those spots.
Wow.
Massive plays that determined the game. 3 of 10, they only needed the 3.
That's a good stat hit right there. PJ Fleck,
Hello, you're on the air.
Coach of the Golden Gophers football team joins 9 to noon next. When PJ Fleck joins 9 to noon to discuss Golden Gophers football, and that's going to take place soon. And kind of a common thread over the last year, one that yours truly in this radio show, and hopefully the audience really enjoys, is former Golden Gophers basketball player and KFAN staple Parker Fox stopping by to join the PJ Fleck conversation, then spend a Steve's Appliances marathon segment with us at about 11:03, and at Parker Fox 24 via X has stopped by now, and with PJ joining anytime in the next 2 or 3 minutes. That'll be a joyous conversation. But texting with you yesterday, I could just tell you were so sad the pro team didn't win, and good morning.
Yeah, and good morning to you as well, PA. It was just one of those ones where it's just like, you feel good. You know, I texted my dad before the game, and it was like, Saquon's kind of the X factor, right? Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, he didn't do much, and we still lost the ball game.
Well, X marked the spot at Huntington Bank Stadium on Friday night, and joining us now is Golden Gophers football coach PJ Fleck. Parker Fox is here, and I'm Paul Allen. Gophers at Iowa Saturday on the Fan, and 8 days after a wonderful, wonderful win over the ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers. And PJ, first and foremost, good morning. Great chatting with you. The Friday night, you know, if you could take us in the weeds a little bit, you know, with the film analyzed and everything, you know, that there are sack stats and stats that we all can see without watching the all 22 and know, hey, when you don't give up a touchdown, that's probably pretty good, especially in college football. Your defense and being assignment sound and just thoroughly on point. I don't know what defense is called, but nevertheless, they look so assignment sound on Friday night. Was that the case?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, PA. Thanks for having us on the show. Good to hear you and Parker again. And, we talked about, FT, right, this entire week, and that was fundamentals and technique. And, we're a big fundamental technique type program. Developmental programs usually are. But we talked about this FT standing for free throws. Free throws are the simplest part of basketball. Steph Curry's got a 91% plus free throw shooting percentage, the greatest percentage in NBA history. And it's the simplest part of the game. There's no distractions. You're completely in the moment. It's all technique and fundamentals. When we play with our technique and fundamentals, and we combine that with how hard we play within the scheme, we're pretty good. When we go away from our fundamentals and technique and go try to make a play outside the fundamentals and technique and do our own thing, we're not very good. And I thought our team kind of took that free throw theme and did a great job all week. It was a short week, so we had to do a lot of things in kind of group type tempo, half speed type practice. And our guys really did a great job focusing on those fundamentals and techniques. And I thought that's what transferred over into that defensive performance and the 9-sack performance, where it really starts top down. As you know, you got to be able to cover to get those sacks. So it was true team defense, and just proud that we were able to be 1-0.
Coach, one of the knocks on Dylan Raiola, especially this season, is that he holds the ball for a little too long, takes that extra second in the pocket. Is that something you and your defensive coordinator, you and your staff identified? Or is this 9-sack performance is just, you guys like Carter Menz, Anthony Smith, Jackson Howard just making plays?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a fair assessment, just because, and I've heard that same thing, but because I think that, when he doesn't have something on the run in college football. So I don't know if it's necessarily holding on to it too long. I think that's part of his game, is when he can escape, he can create with his legs. He's so good throwing on the run that, I think he does escape the pocket really well. I thought what we did was we were able to minimize and condense and constrict those escape lanes. I'm not saying we were perfect and did it all game, but when we did it, we were able to condense them. When he did want to do it, he really does well. We were around that pocket, tighter to him, and we're able to get him on the ground. And when we didn't, he created a lot of explosive plays for him. So that's kind of my assessment from it. I have a ton of respect for him. I think he is an absolute elite quarterback and has such a bright future. I just thought the game plan was really good for us and worked out in our favor.
Hey, PJ, maybe I should know this, but I don't. And earlier in this chat, you described yourselves and your team as a developmental program. Well, why do you use that qualifier, and what does that mean?
It's a great question. There's not a very short answer for that, but I think in college football right now, and there's two types of programs, and I think there's one kind of in the middle. There's transactional programs where you're paying players to come in. Sometimes they just get in the spring, and then you have a group, and you think you have a team, but maybe you don't have a team, and maybe it's just a group. And then when things go bad and go sideways, nothing's really holding that glue together besides maybe money and transactions. Then you have this transformational side where we're not going to do much transactions. It's just transformational. Get guys as freshmen, go all the way through his senior year and truly develop them. But I think there's got to be a mix. I think there can be transactions within this transformational program. And we love to take 80% of our team PA is high school players. 20% is portal. We use the portal, and we love multi-year portal players because we can keep developing them. We don't get a lot of the finished products here. That's what it means. We're taking kids that are high school players and develop them into great college football players and great men, and then hopefully high NFL draft picks. So it's not about where they are when they get here. It's about where they are when they leave. And I think some programs might have both of that. Some might only have one of that, where they get somebody and it's totally a finished product. It's all transactional. Ours is a true developmental, relationship, transformational, mixed with a little transactions here in the new age. That's my way of adapting and not ignoring the new age of college football and getting the most out of our players academically, athletically, socially, and spiritually, and making sure this always stays, no matter if it's more transactional, less transactional, always stays a life program, because that is what college football is, and I think always will be until we truly become pro, but we still call them student athletes. So this program's gonna value their entire life and develop them from where they are to where they say they want to be. That would be a developmental program.
That was beautiful. That was a sweet preach, and straightforward and honest too. I mean, laying it out like that. Thank you. And to dovetail off that, I just being around coaches as long as I have, the noise has to be elevator music. I mean, if you win 30 in a row, and you're the new age Bear Bryant, that has to go in one ear and out the other. If you've lost 5 in a row and they think you're terrible, that has to go in one ear and out the other. The fear over faith crowd, and it's bubbling, outside of your covenant, but the fear over faith crowd is worried about the quarterback in the portal because you hit on one. You hit on a quarterback, man, and they think the wolves will come calling. If ever the case, how does one handle that one?
Well, if you've ever been camping, you always know the wolves are out there. It's your job to set up a really good campsite and a really good place where the wolves and bears can't get you.
Oh, there we go.
I don't worry about those things. What we worry about is creating one of the greatest experiences, life experiences, dynamic experiences that a student athlete, a football player can absolutely have every single day. And that's what we create. And if people are going to value that, they'll stay. If they're not going to value that, they're going to leave. That's the new world of college athletics. But our job and my job is to create one of the best, most dynamic experiences in all of college athletics, where we've already had a lot of players turn down a ton of money, PA, and maybe not even fair. When you're looking at it, like, how can a young person turn down that much money to stay in this program? And I'm not saying we're perfect.
Yeah,
we've lost our fair share, but we want to make sure that we create an unbelievable experience where we can have those transactions, but they stay because it's transformational. Again, we have a long way to go. We were 1-0. That's all that meant.
Yep.
But we also go after the right fit that want to be developed, and we feel Drake's that type of kid.
A few more for PJ Fleck. Parker?
Yeah, Coach, looking forward to next Saturday, 2:30 at Kinnick. This Iowa team, they don't pose a huge passing threat. They only threw the ball 16 times last game. But as you know, Iowa loves to run the football. We saw 9 carries for 130 yards from their quarterback, Gronowski. Is that something you have to kind of keep a spy on? And what kind of rushing threat does Iowa really pose, especially at home in front of their home crowd?
Yeah, well, think about Iowa for people who know much about Iowa. One, I have a ton of respect for what they do and how they do it. Kirk Ferentz is the absolute legend in college football of transformational developmental program. And I have a ton of respect for him. I know we're rivals. But when you look at it, Iowa's always been really good at running the ball, right? They got a great offensive line. They got great tight ends. Their backs are so disciplined and dynamic. Their receivers can make plays. And now all of a sudden you throw a running quarterback that can also throw. but he's built like a running back in that running game. I mean, that's what's so dangerous about them. They've made themselves even more dangerous than they've ever been in the running department by adding a quarterback who has the ability to run as well as throw. And I mean run like a running back, not just run to scramble. Ton of respect for what they do. Very, very difficult to stop. And as you can see, not many teams are.
The and with that Nebraska win, just for a second, this just hit me is the resolve that you guys displayed after that Ohio State game. And when you join 9 to noon and you're like, hey, sometimes you just got to tip your cap offensively, defensively, and special teams, coaching and playing. They just did it. I mean, they were 9 of 10 and we weren't. And so therefore let's move on. Okay, well, you still got to move on. So what do? Nobody sulked, clearly. You won a tight one versus Purdue. Friday was kind of a big spot at home and against a ranked team. And you dusted them. I mean, that's good. That's culture right there. Culture is such an overused and trite word this day and age. But in this case, it's not, I would imagine, because if you don't have resolve, then you got major problems after that Buckeyes loss, right?
Well, yeah, I think the word culture gets used and abused constantly, to your point, right? Because I don't think enough people define it, and they don't really know what it is. It's kind of like momentum to me. It's like Pixie does. It's like this word people use for somebody to play really bad defense or really bad offense or really I just don't believe in that piece. I believe in, like, it's either really good for a reason or really bad for a reason. Fix the reason.
Right.
And so we define culture as basically just how you connect people. That's all culture does. Whether you're talking about a religion, whether you're talking about a team, whether you're talking about a business, whether you're talking about, KFAN, there's a culture around that environment that connects people. So, and it's not about just when things are going good. How do you connect people when things aren't going bad? To be a really good winner, PA, you got to learn how to lose. You don't want to lose, but you got to learn how to lose. And our weekly themes allow us to turn the page no matter if it was good or bad. Nothing blends into the week before. We literally have a completely different theme every week. We have a theme of the year, but then we have different musical groups that we study every week. And it turns the page. It's a completely different week. It's a completely different focus. It's almost impossible to keep thinking about the week before, whether we win or lose. And this week's game, people are saying, like, it looked like your identity. Well, what is our identity?
Yeah.
Identity should be what it takes to win the game. People always say, well, we want balance. Everybody wants balance. But balance is, can you win the game by throwing if you have to? And can you win the game by running if you have to? And in a perfect world, you'd love to do both. But they get paid too. They're on scholarship. Their coaches are good. So sometimes they take that away. So your identity has to be what it takes to win the football game within that particular football game. And you look at that culture look at yesterday and that comeback for the Broncos. I mean, what an unbelievable comeback.
Yep.
That's happened 2 times out of 3,500 games or almost 4,000 games.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see that was deeper than just plays. That was a belief system. That was a culture. That was people doing it. And they had to maybe go away from an identity. And again, I think you hit it right on the head when you talk about this word culture. I think it gets thrown around and people want to, like, not talk about it or talk about it too much. It is what it is. It's how you connect people in good times and bad times. And can you respond from all that?
Meanwhile, what musical group are you studying this week? And have you guys ever gone down the road of Parliament Funkadelic with George Clinton and Bootsy Collins playing the bass?
We haven't done that, but we've done the Great How Dead. That was a few weeks ago. We did Kenny How's Knee, which is Kenny Chesney.
Mm-hmm.
We've done a bunch. We did the Red How Chili Peppers. So we do all that. We did the Notorious How instead of the Notorious B.I.G. It's a Notorious How because it always has to have How in there.
Yeah.
So that's our culture. How we play matters, right? So, yeah. And then we play that music all week. And that's why probably people think I'm insane.
Well, Parliament Howadelic with Atomic Dog and Flashlight and some really, really funky songs that I think you guys would like. Or you have the greatest duo in the history of music, Howe and Oates. you drop some Howe and Oates in there. I don't know if they'll like it, but nevertheless, it kind of fits the theme. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Remember, I am my product. At the end of the day, PA, is 18 to 23-year-olds.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget that. The
Right.
product is not an iPhone. It's not an iPad. It's not AirBuds. It's people. It's an 18 to 23-year-old non-developed brain that I've got to find a way to connect with. So maybe I'll do that one because we do a lot of learning in this because we got to hit every genre. So I haven't hit that genre yet, so I think that's a good one. We'll pick it.
Okay. You have How and Oates, and I'm quickly trying to find you a song here that I think you would like. But
Rich Girl, right? Rich Girl's a song from How and Oates, right?
Yeah, well, that's How and Oates and Kiss on My List and Private Eyes, and I can't go for that. But Parliament Howadelic with George Clinton on lead. All right. Hey, were there any potential high-end recruits on the sideline Friday night? Because if there were, it's like, come one, come all, boys.
There sure were. There were 27 recruits, 26 recruits. Some of our best commits were there. A lot of players that we really want to be Gophers were there. It was awesome. And then not only that, we got to induct, Greg Esslinger and celebrate his induction into the College Football Hall of Fame as well. It's just, what an atmosphere. And you look 9 years ago when we got here, and I just didn't feel that type of atmosphere. And now when you look at our games, it's a credit to our administration, Mike Erzbicki and his staff, Mills and his staff. Like, there is an experience when you come to Huntington Bank Stadium, and that was a lot of fun the other night. I
appreciate you, man. Best of luck against the Hawkeyes this weekend, and we will chat very soon. Thank you, PJ. That was fantastic.
Appreciate it, brother. Bo Skyma, and go Gophers. Let's go Vikes. Thanks, guys.
Yep. See you, bud. PJ Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers football team. The border battle against the Iowa Hawkeyes on KFAN, middle of the afternoon this Saturday. We'll be right back.